Hi, this is Odeean. Today I'm having a look at the TFC-009 Gear of War 3 set, which is basically Sixgun to go with Titan class Generations Metroplex. I was a little bit shocked when I got this in the mail. It was, or at least the box it was in, is absolutely huge, and this package is much bigger than what I had thought. So the last thing I got was this add-on kit, Wings of Uranus, to go with the TFC Uranus combiner, and I don't know, because that was the last thing I got from them, I was expecting something along the lines of that, but no, it's a very massive box. It's kind of bent inwards. The insert isn't as tough as what they've been doing, but that's probably just because they wanted to lay it all out inside. I'm going to start by just showing his mode where he is actually a robot. Make a few comments on that before I pull him to pieces. Now, when I first saw this, I thought it looked terrible. In pictures on the internet, the robot mode of this I thought was just an abomination. The arms were so oversized. I didn't like it at all in robot mode. Having it in hand, I can say it looks a lot better in person than it does in pictures. Probably it's got something to do with the coloring, but the arms just don't seem as big to the eye as what they're showing up even in this video. But I did go and get it, and that was mainly because from what I saw of the weapons, I really wanted these weapons, like the Gear of War weapons, to put with my Metroplex, because I thought they looked like the best in weapon mode. So here he is. I think I bought it off eBay, so just where I'm located, it ended up being a little bit cheaper to get it off eBay, and I felt that it would come a little bit quicker, but he's pretty much the same price everywhere at the moment, widely available. It's got a big light piping section, but as you can see, it doesn't really catch that much light because there's a lot of stuff on both sides and behind it, so it's not really that useful as light piping, and I think I would have preferred painted eyes, which is pretty much my permanent criticism of light piping these days. I think paint does a better job, but it is sculpted pretty good anyway. Let's have a look at posability. So we've got friction joints for the outward swivel and backwards and forward swivel on the shoulders. They do a pretty good job of holding everything nice and tight now, but I don't know how long that's going to last. Got swivel under this bicep, this backwards and forwards motion here, as well as a ratchet if you really have to have it, but it's a pretty poor ratchet. It's kind of already starting to strip itself a little bit, but I tend not to bend it too much anyway. Waist swivel, oh, lost something there, in and out at the hips, thigh swivel, ratcheted backwards and forwards, and friction based knee. Now there is this ankle tilt, but it is only the toe, and you can see it can go the whole way around there. It's for show only, and it's a very, it doesn't really add anything to the stability of the figure. If anything, I would say this figure is quite unstable, just because its feet are blocks, and you almost always want to put them at an angle like that. So having the ankle tilts at an angle really does nothing to help that. Let's do a 360 to have a look all around. He's up there with the bigger third-party figures that I've got. Maybe not quite as heavy as some, probably a little bit hollow in some places, but you definitely can't see it. He looks pretty good. This backpack is really kind of kludged together, and my box didn't come with any instructions, so I had to kind of guess how that goes. It looks alright, but better from the front. One thing I notice is that it does have this clear blue plastic here, so I'm guessing that TFC did that as a kind of tie-in to the other two Gear of War sets. I think they both had some clear plastic, so it just helps it to look good and recognizable as Gear of War. One thing I've got to say which is different about this compared to a lot of other TFC stuff that I've got is it doesn't seem to have excessive useless paint apps. It is painted to look like who it's meant to be, and I appreciate that because that's really what I want from them. And other stuff I've found is a little bit too much their take and not enough G1, but I do like this. Let's have a look at who he's meant to be. Put him back here. So this is G1 Sixgun. This is one of my G1 Sixguns. I got my first one of these when I was 10 years old, I think, and he's been played to death. This one a little bit less so, but you can see I have another one here. This is I think this is really my first one. I played this guy like you wouldn't believe. I mean, I loved Metroplex. He was probably, at that time, my favourite Transformer, and I thought that he was a bit bland for Sixgun, so I painted this guy up, and he's had a real good life in my collection. So, very, very similar. The face sculpt is pretty spot on. Let's pull him a bit closer here so you can have a look. Definitely Sixgun. There's not a huge space for an Autobot symbol, but then again, I don't think this symbol was meant to go there anyway. Maybe it was meant to go on the top here. But still, there's not many spaces at all to put a symbol on this TFC version. For comparison, here's Fans Project Revolver. This is a decent sized figure, but small compared to this Sixgun. Here he is next to TFC's previous combiner, Uranus. And next to my go-to guy for scale shots, the Masterpiece Optimus Prime. They're about the same size. I mean, give or take the bulk in the forearms. As far as robot size goes, they're about the same. Obviously, Sixgun is way more armed than Optimus Prime, but that's how it should be. He is Sixgun. This Gear of War 3 set is perfectly capable of holding the gun from Rage of Hercules or the gun from the upgrade to, what's this, Wings of Uranus. So all TFC stuff is cross-compatible. Their extra wide pegs and their standard pegs all work with each other, which is really one of their strong selling points, because this set becomes a lot more fun when you have bits and pieces from the other set. Rage of Hercules forearms, for example, are the same as these except grey, and I'm guessing that with all of these bits and pieces, something pretty cool could be done. Here's all the pieces as you get them loose in the box. Now, some of these are assembled into actually gun mode, but this is all of it just loose. Now, I'm going to show you how to join these together. First, to make the arm of Sixgun, grab this bulky section here and just plug in the fist however you like. Simple as that. Next, we're going to look for this part. Now, in the box, it comes with a gun attached. Just detach that gun, put it to one side. You'll see at the bottom down here, there is this two-holed little nub thing. Give that a twist so it's facing the other direction. And then what we're going to do is just kind of sandwich it in the middle here. So peg this in. It doesn't matter, whichever way is convenient. There's two holes. It's just so it's cross-compatible with turning it around 180 degrees. Kind of like that. That's not too solid on its own, but it works the same way as Rage of Hercules. So you just grab this bracing strut and tab it in on both sides, and that kind of locks it all into place. I like to put this barrel on the forearm here, although in the instructions they do show you can stick this there, but I don't really like that there. This kind of leftover piece from gun mode is a little bit loose, but I tend to just put it on like that. Next, on the underside, poke this a bit to bend out this peg. And you can see here, this peg is really ridged, so it's going to get a good grip in that socket, because this is a major joint of the figure, and I think they've done everything they can to make this plug in securely. To form the legs, we just grab each of these legs like this. So we make sure these are open, these little claws, and then the whole thing just slots right in. One thing to be cautious of is if you've got this, I can't do it. It's a little bit hard. If that's out, the leg won't slot in, so it has to be parallel to the leg before you do it. But anyway, put it in, and this pushes in to lock. I'm always impressed with how TFC do these locks. It works so good, and nobody else does it. Stick the other one in. Now I'm going to form the backpack. So it's a little bit tricky to form the backpack. I think what you have to do is peg two of these together like this. I mean, it doesn't really show it. As I said, I have no instructions. Once you've got that done, you find the screw hole and just plug one of these in like that. On the back of the figure we have another peg, and it can go in like that. Now it's not 100% secure, but as far as I can tell, that is how it happens. At this point, I like to get this bazooka thing and put the arrow in, or the missile, or whatever you want to call it, and stick it on the backpack as well. I prefer it to be here, but on the box, it doesn't show it here. On the box, it kind of shows it on the forearm. Now, I guess I should have done this first because I'm stressing it a bit, but that's where it goes. And we just plug... Oh, I lost the missile there. Can be a bit tricky to get this in because it always wants to bend out of the way. And there we go. In like that. And that puts him back to robot mode. Now I'm going to separate him out into his various gun modes. This big guy is basically the reason I bought this set. I love this gun. It is so awesome. This handle plugs in so it can be grasped by a Titan class Metroplex. I'm very, very impressed with how that looks, and it's exactly what I imagined Metroplex's gun to look like. If you compare it here to the G1 version, it's got all the shapes in the right places, updated a little bit, but still just close enough to how I want it to be. In particular, I like the point at the front, because the G1 always had those little missiles. Now, I often took them out as a kid because I thought that kind of was dumb, but it seems that the older I get, the more nostalgic I get, and I wanted to have that point at the front of the gun. There seems to be no way to pull it off. I don't want to break it, but I'm pretty sure that that doesn't come off. It kind of would have been cool if that bit did come off, I think. But that's what we've got the Sigma 6 version for, because I think they've got an open barrel, so that's almost, it's in the mail, it's on its way. Once I've got that, I will have one for either situation. Next, we've got the shoulder cannon. Really nice. It's a very, very nice gun, exactly how I imagined it to be. And again, comparing it to the G1 version, very similar, hitting all those key spots, just improving on them a little bit, like especially with the see-through plastic here. And I don't know if it's showing up, but there's some grey paint in the grooves where the detailing is, just like these two dots here. I'm very, very happy with that, and it's exactly what I wanted from a Gear of War set. The body of Sixgun here transforms up into this gun, which looks really similar to the Titan class Metroplex gun. It's pretty solid. There's a little bit of wiggle because of his joints, but all in all, it's pretty solid. I'm happy with that. It's got a firing mechanism. I think that may be the first firing mechanism in any TFC toy that I've got, as far as I can remember. Here's the original Hasbro version gun for Metroplex. So you can see it's not exactly the same. It's a bit wider, a few more details, like especially with the Nizar and stuff like that. But it is similar enough to look like it's meant to be there, which is what I'm trying to achieve. The only kind of disappointment that I've got with this gun is that the handle had to be taken off one of these guys because there weren't 3 in the package. There were only 2. Given that he can make 3 guns, I expected there to be 3 handles, but I guess they cheaped out on that a little bit. It's a bit hard to film this huge guy in my tent, but anyway, we grab the shoulder cannon, flip out the small peg, and there's another slot up here that it also tabs into. And in theory, it's supposed to just peg on like that. But here's the part where it gets a little bit lame. This peg in here is not a fully circular peg. It's squared off like that. I guess they did that so you don't get that suction thing happening when you put it into a round peg hole. But they've sabotaged it. The whole way that this is meant to work is that it pegs in and it is way too floppy. I don't think there's anything I'm missing here. It definitely seems exactly made to fit that spot, but it just doesn't work very well. Now, it's easy enough to fix. I mean, I'm being a little bit disingenuous. All I got to do is put a piece of sticky tape around that or a tiny dollop of blue tack and it will be permanently okay. But I just thought it worth noting that out of the box, the one thing that this set is primarily meant to do doesn't happen that well. The next thing I'd like to do is get this cannon to be shoulder mounted. Now if I grab one of the original pieces, you'll see that the handle has a peg halfway down it, and that peg can peg into a hole right back there. Now, this handle does not have a peg in that location, but what you can do is turn it upside down, peg this into that screw hole, and that gives you at least some ability to do this. So it's a little bit high. Let's go up here like this. It's a little bit higher for my taste. I don't really like the way that looks, but it is a way you can get it to go there at least. It can also peg in with that handle into the standard hand socket on Metroplex. It does have a bit of this going on, and it's only noticeable because it's so long. If you leave it alone, it tends to sit in a good spot. I don't really like this that much as a hand-based gun, not because I don't like the moulding. I think it's made pretty damn good, but this white section tends to get lost in the overall whiteness of the figure. So for my money, I don't really want to display it with this on, and in fact I don't really want to use this at all with my Metroplex in robot mode, because I think his red guns can go just fine on the shoulder, while all the other Gear of War guns can go in his hands and shoulders. And finally, there it is, holding my favourite gun. And that is basically the reason I bought this set, for that look right there with the big gun in Metroplex's hand. That's really awesome. And that one, he holds pretty rock solid. That's not going anywhere. He actually holds it better than he holds his original gun, just because of the weight and balance of it. My final thoughts: I think this is a good value set. Now, it's standing a lot taller in robot mode than a lot of other figures from TFC at about that price point, like the $80 or so price point. And I think what it lacks in transformation, it makes for in usefulness, all that bulk and how awesome he makes this Metroplex look. I mean, I love a Fall of Cybertron Metroplex just as much as the next person, but these add-ons for Metroplex make him look so G1. It's like my fantasy as a kid that Metroplex can actually move, and now with these guns, it just reinforces that that's what he is. This is my kind of classics first G1 Metroplex. So I love this set. I think that it does exactly what I bought it for, and I'm super pleased to have it. But with the caveat that I did just buy it to have as weapons, and the fact that it makes a robot mode, that's like a cool bonus, but I don't really care about that robot mode. He'll never be in that robot mode after this video. He's going to be just like this as a set of guns. I did buy all the previous Gear of War sets, so I wanted to have the third, which is another reason that I bought this. And probably I feel that this is the best value Gear of War set so far, given the size and utility of it. Now, if you want a Sixgun who looks awesome as a robot, I'm thinking that the Sigma 6 Sixgun is the way to go. And the before and after Sigma 6, I have him on order. As I said, it's in the mail, on its way right now, and any day now I'm going to get it. And when I video review that, I'll definitely do a comparison between these two guys in their gun and robot modes. But from the pictures that I've seen, I think that before and after's offering is far superior in robot mode, but I guess it depends how sturdy it is and how much quality there is to it. This set from TFC has been particularly good quality compared to some of the sets I got from them recently, so maybe they're picking up their game again, and it just makes me wish that maybe I could afford to pick up one of their Predator King robots, which I haven't done because I'm on the Mastermind Creations bandwagon, but this is slowly changing my mind, I think. So pick up this set if you can afford it. I really think it's a good buy. I'm odeean. Thanks for watching. Oh, and one more thing. If you're wondering, is it compatible with Hercules? It is fully compatible with TFC Hercules, although my one is a bit janky and floppy to be able to hold extra weight now, but it definitely looks good with it. If you've got the red and white version, I think it's called Perseus, is that right? This might go pretty well with that. And if you're wondering why I sound so weird during this video, it's because it's almost winter here and it's freezing cold. I need to go and put on some more clothes. So thanks again for watching. See you next time.